Hi, everyone, and welcome to Module 1 of your Fundamentals of Speech course. Today, I wanted to give a very brief overview of what communication really is and what the communication process looks like as we get started in thinking about public speaking, finding your voice, and your place within this process. So let's go ahead and get started. So what is communication? There are many different ways of thinking about it. I'm going to give you a more official version first, and then I'm going to share with you a version that I think actually works better. So the official version is a transactional process of sharing meaning with others, working with an audience, and shared meaning. And while this is definitely true, it is a transactional process. It does mean that you have to have somebody sharing meaning, because if you're not sharing meaning, then obviously you just have two different people with completely separate messages, and that's not actual communication. But my guess is that if I had asked each of you to give me your definition of communication, this is probably not the one that you would have come up with. What you would have come up with is something much simpler and probably just as accurate. Maybe something like this. It's the act of transferring information from one place, person, or group to another. Right? So that's really all it is taking information of some sort and getting it from one person, a sender, to another person, place, or group. So let's look at what that communication process looks like. Now, if you look at the communication process here, it looks kind of complicated, but it's really quite simple. You really need three things. You need a sender, you need a message, and you need a receiver. So the sender thinks or figures out what they want to say. They encode the message in whatever format or medium they're going to use, and they send it through a message channel. And we're going to think about in a moment, or what are some of those different message channels that you might use. And then from there, the receiver decodes the message and then takes it and then gives feedback to the sender. And that whole process is communication. Now, of course, if you look at the top, what can happen sometimes is noise gets in the way. And the noise can happen either in the encoding side from the sender, the decoding by the receiver, or even within the message channel. So what are some different kinds of noise? Well, some of it is obvious, right? If you're trying to talk to a friend and the next thing you know, there's a big police car that goes by with their lights on, making lots of noise, maybe your friend doesn't receive your message. Another kind of noise is maybe the receiver is tired or angry or somehow doesn't want to hear the message and therefore it doesn't get through. So there are lots of different kinds of noises that can get in the way of this process. What I want you to remember is that really it's just about someone having a message that they send to someone or a group of people through some sort of message channel. Now, what do I mean by message channel? So I want you to think about it. When you think about a message channel, what are the different ways that you communicate on a regular basis with other people that you can think of? So take a moment to really think about what are the different ways and channels of communication that you use. And then we'll talk about some of the ones that I can think of as well. Now, obviously, our voice is a big one, and that's why public speaking, when we're thinking about it, that's communication from a verbal perspective. But there are lots of different message channels that don't always include voice. So you can have a message channel through social media, whether you're using Instagram or Facebook or Twitter. You can have it through email, through text, through gestures and sign language. So there are lots of different ways of sending a message that isn't just about public speaking. But since this is a public speaking class, and we are certainly going to be thinking about the ways that we send messages with our body, we're also going to think about how we send messages verbally, because that's going to be the message channel that we use. So what I'd like you to do now is think about what makes a speaker or speech effective and what makes a speaker or speech less effective. So think about that in your own experience. When is someone that you've seen speak in some context, either live or on TV or on a YouTube video, and you either thought, wow, this is a really dynamic, great speaker, or wow, that really didn't go so well. And to really break down what it is that makes that person more or less effective. Once you do that, take a moment to go into the discussion group and answer the question, and then take a look at what some of your classmates think and see if those messages align, and then we can have a discussion from there. But I'm going to sign off now, and if you have any questions, as always, I'm here to help.